I want to talk about the flight of the Nez Perce.
Okay.
Did you hear of this?
Perce?
No, I've never heard of this.
So the Nez Perce are an Indian tribe.
Oh, flight like leaving, not like
Yes.
flying.
No,
I was
no.
like, oh, is it fun?
Well, who knows? This could be they're throwing them out of planes. This was done before we knew better in 1973.
They were seeing if they could create wingsuits. They put feathers on them and push them out of a plane.
The Nez Perce ancestral lands are kind of on the border of.
Now, the Nez Perce, they come after you if you wear the one ring, right?
Yes. Yes. They will mend once.
Yes.
They were corrupted
Sorry.
by the.
They're on the border of like Washington, Oregon. That
Okay, the
region.
Pacific Northwest.
Sometimes they go into Idaho.
Get some potatoes.
In the 1850s, 1860s, the government makes a treaty with the Nez Perce. It says, this is your land. We will not violate it. It's your it's not a reservation per se. It's just like their land.
I'm assuming they do a quick wink. We'll never violate it.
Almost all of the Nez Perce tribes, because the Nez Perce is like a cultural group. There's like different tribes within that. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
They agree to this because the land that they set aside pretty much encapsulates all of their regular land. So they're happy to make this treaty. And they consider the United States to be good allies and friends, and they're never going to fight them.
Yeah, never.
1870s come around.
Yep.
Yep.
Some ranchers realize that the Nez Perce is sitting on some great ranching land, which is bad enough. And then they discover gold in the Snake River
Oh, now they're
Canyon.
fucked.
We got some blankets.
So now people start violating the treaty. They start moving in on them.
That same old story.
Yes, the government comes up with a new treaty. They want to move them all to what essentially is
This new treaty says you all get the fuck out. We've made great terms.
That's about it.
10% of the former land they've reduced it to. The guys, the Nez Perce people that are living in this new circle that they've created, pretty much agree to it. But now there's a bunch of them that do not agree to this. Specifically, there's
the
an
younger
area,
generation.
Yeah, there's an area called the Wallowa Valley
Mm-hmm.
that is sacred. Like their forefathers are buried there. Then they don't want to give this up. So they don't. And for about 12 years, nothing really happens.
They're like, okay, this is your ancestral burial.
Well, no,
ground.
it's not even that. It's like you guys are not conforming to the treaty, but nobody's killing each other.
Yeah.
So they just kind of leave it alone. And then one day,
We'll get back to this.
someone gets killed.
How did they get killed?
The Nez Perce killed them.
Okay.
Like
They kill,
settlers.
They kill a white
settlers
guy.
that are moving in. Yeah. This is 1877. And some of the warriors get a little rambunctious and they start killing settlers indiscriminately and pushing them off the land. Around the same time, in fact, you might remember from that movie, Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, there's a part where Sitting Bull takes his people and goes to Canada. That will play a part in this.
Oh, wow.
So 1877, Chief Joseph and a couple of other guys, a guy named Glass Jar or something.
Glass Joe. He's the first guy you fight in Punch Out.
Okay. Yeah, him. The British guy. They lead about 750 of their followers. About 200 of them are warriors. The rest are like women, children, and the elderly. And they go on one of the most like crazy ass fighting retreats of all time. They will travel 1,700 miles through the Rocky Mountains with the U.S. cavalry hot on their tail the entire fucking time. First place, they encounter the cavalry. They're fleeing. They're fugitives. Like the cavalry's trying to arrest them for killing people. So he takes up his people and he's like, "We got to get the fuck out of here." Their goal is to reach the Crow, who are their allies, who are on the other side of the mountains.
Okay.
Like
they could blend
way
in
to the
with them.
east, right? Well, they want reinforcements. It's like
Okay.
they're going to make a stand. They run into the cavalry at the White Bird Canyon, and they have a battle. The cavalry kind of sneaks up on them while they're sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
37 dead.
In a row?
37 civilians dead, I should say.
Oh.
Oof.
Oh no, I'm lying. I mixed things up.
Okay.
There's the Battle of Big Hole is the first one. 40 civilians dead and 12 of the Nez Perce warriors. So this is actually a large chunk of their 750 person band.
Yeah.
But they keep moving. They skedaddle. They go through the brand new Yellowstone National Park where they find some tourists and hold them hostage.
What year is this? This is
77, 1877.
still, okay.
Yeah. Whitebird Canyon, they have another battle with the cavalry. This time, the Nez Perce get the better of them, and they kill 37 of the cavalry members this is a big deal back then.
Oh yeah.
And at a cost of only wounding 3 of their own warriors.
So it's a beatdown.
They just dominate the cavalry. They get to the Crowlands, and they appeal to the Crow to like join up with them, and the Crow tell them no. We're not going to make enemies of the United States.
Yeah, you're outlaws.
So they're forced.
Do you think there's a different outcome for them if they unite here?
No.
No, right? Yeah.
It's just more than the Crow would.
Yeah.
So they'll faced with no other option. They're like, let's flee to Canada and meet up with Sitting Bull. They can't chase us up there. So they start heading north, and this is over a period of months, by the way.
Yeah.
That there's this endless pursuit is going on. Did I say 17,000? It's 1,170 miles that they travel in all.
It's a lot.
So there's this guy,
like
Nelson
14.
Miles. So Nelson Miles, we could do a whole fucking episode about.
Okay.
He's got one of the most storied military careers in U.S. history.
Not really familiar with him.
He's a Medal of Honor winner.
Okay.
The Medal of Honor hasn't been invented yet, so he hasn't gotten it at this point.
Yeah.
But he will get it for
Posthumous.
what he did at the Battle of Chancellorsville in the Civil War. Nelson Miles fought in like 10 battles in the Civil War. And he was at Appomattox when Lee surrendered.
Oh wow.
He's in pretty much all of the major engagements of the Indian Wars throughout the 1870s and 80s. And then he caps off his career by leading men in the Philippines in the Spanish-American War. This guy's just a warrior.
He's a badass.
Yeah. He traps the Nez Perce at a place called Bear Paw Mountain, just 40 miles south of the Canadian border.
They almost made it.
But the Nez Perce dig in and start building fortifications, and it's like a siege, and it goes on for days and days. It's freezing. Now it's like November. They left in like July.
Okay.
Now it's getting wintry.
And you're in like
People
mountains.
are starving to death.
Yeah.
It's
it's North Canada almost. Yeah.
Well, Southern Canada.
Southern Canada, which it's still fucking cold.
Chief Joseph, he looks around and he sees that his children are dying. People are dying. Oh, by the way, with him at this moment, just a fun little fact, is the son of William Clark.
Of
Lewis and Clark. He had a Nez Perce son.
Did he know about it?
Doubtful. But he,
Really?
Yeah. He, back
Yeah.
almost 80 years ago, this
got
guy's
there
still
and-
kicking. Yeah.
Oh, so William Clark's an old man.
William Clark's dead. This is his son. His son,
Oh, I'm sorry.
he had sex with a Nez Perce woman when they were
Okay.
on the Corps of Discovery,
Yeah, and the kid now.
And now this
is-
kid is here at being besieged by the U.S.
Wow.
Army. Chief Joseph gives a speech. It's a famous speech. It essentially talks about how he looks around and everyone's dead, and he says, "I will fight no more forever." It's a famous thing.
Yeah.
It later comes out that was written by a poet. He didn't really say it,
Okay.
but it was
It's a
attributed
tribute.
to him, and it became like a famous thing. It was in all the newspapers.
What
at
he
the
really
time.
said was, "Fuck this."
Not
worth it.
He surrenders to Miles and the guy who's been chasing him since the beginning, a guy named General Howard, under the
Who-
understanding that they're going to let him and his people return to the reservation back in Wyoming.
Yeah.
Not Wyoming, Washington,
Oregon,
Oregon.
Mhm.
General Sherman steps in and overrules them,
Nope.
who is the head of all Indian affairs at this time. This is Grant's
Indian
administration.
Affairs Committee, right?
No, he's the head of like the army
Oh, okay.
in general. But there is that exists.
And 37 cavalrymen are dead.
Yeah, he's not happy.
Yeah.
So he takes the Nez and he sends them to Oklahoma, the Indian Territory.
Okay.
They live there for 7 years, and eventually they are, after a lot of petitioning, they're allowed to return to Washington State, but it is not the land that they want to go to. It's
where
miles and miles away.
Yeah.
It's wherever we tell you. Chief Joseph will spend the rest of his life petitioning the government to let him go home, to let him take his people home. He ends up on he meets with Rutherford Hayes and Teddy Roosevelt.
And he's just trying forever.
He actually participates in a parade down Broadway to honor when Ulysses S. Grant dies. He was in,
really?
like a processional parade for him. But he never makes it home. So it's a sad ending, but it is a very famous and story, and the cavalry really respected them for this whole thing.
I mean,
it's a pretty impressive
hell.
military
Yeah.
feat. Yeah.
I mean, they're a smaller force.
Yeah.
With women and children
Right.
on the run.
Yes.
Going against the best
Overwhelming
military on the
force.
continent.
Right.
Damn. Yeah. I mean,
You ever see a picture of him?
no. What's
It's
his
pretty
name?
famous. Chief Joseph.
Chief Joseph.
People know this guy.
Very American.
Towards the end of his life, he became friends with like photographers, and they were always taking his picture.
I've seen this guy.
Yeah.
Not knowing it's him, but yeah,
Right,
I've seen
yeah.
this guy.
Oh yeah, it's famous. That's
Yeah.
like one of the most famous pictures.
Mhm.
Oh,
Wow. Yeah, I mean, he died 1904. So the real sadness, he never got to see Otabenga.
never got to see Otabenga. He just missed
The real
out.
tragedy of his life.
Just missed out.
You're crying again.
He's like, I thought we had it bad. We put this motherfucker in a zoo with lions and fucking
Bow and arrow.
orangutans. It's like, he doesn't know how fucking good he has it. So fucking twisted.
He would have saw him stop petitioning. Like, oh no, we're good.
All right.
Lozengay.
Darker than us.
Oh.
Is that Blazing Saddles?
Yeah. It's all right. Take a walk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.